Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Combo number 2. I'm Tom Flores,
I'm Travis Baker.
and today we'll be talking about
X-Men. Bad guy wants to destroy the world.
basically every superhero movie, right?
That's literally what this movie is.
So-
X-Men Apocalypse. It's even in the title.
So it's been out for about, let's say, a little over a month now.
Yeah.
Been out for about a month now.
Recording this a bit late.
We're a bit behind, but it was fun. It was honestly a really fun movie. I enjoyed it, and I wasn't thinking like, oh, that was like the last movie, because I didn't care for Days of Future Past, so I wasn't going like, what? And this one, I'm like, this is fun. All right, this is all right. This is X-Men.
There was a bit more, slightly more silliness to this movie, with the exception of the Magneto scenes. But I mean, you got Oscar Isaac with heavy face makeup in this heavy outfit, and he's still able to act under all of that, which is great. And he's just this evil guy that it's like, rip apart everything and we're gonna rebuild it. Typical bad guy plot, and people with superpowers got to stop him. Kind of borderline schlocky, but it was really fun because of that.
And I think
that's probably why you might have liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think I started to not critique it as much, because right at the opening scene, the opening scene picks up basically where the post-credits scene for Days of Future Past left off. The pyramids back in Egypt at the height of the Egyptian Empire, and it was kind of cool to see how, because there's always so many theories, hypotheses, and myths on like how did the pyramids get built, and this was just basically another like version of it.
Yeah,
Apocalypse helped build them.
And Apocalypse is just the most powerful mutant
and
ever.
A godlike figure. So it's like, all right, another version of it. Why not be a superhero? Makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we see his basically, in a sense, his original lineup for his Four Horsemen, which were awesome. I liked it. It's war, pestilence, or conquest, famine, and then
death.
And I think, I want to say the one who basically had telekinesis like Jean Grey, but it was more of like a Blue Frost kind of, that one girl. Mm-hmm. I want to say she was War, because she seems so much more closer to him, because when Magneto, because he's a horseman of war, he seemed closer to Apocalypse, so that's my guess, in a sense.
Okay.
Because they did kind of resemble the old Horseman lineup resembled the new one we saw with Psylocke, Angel, Storm, and Magneto, because Conquest was that brute strong guy with the gnarly teeth.
Yes.
That was Psylocke.
Yeah.
And I want to say the one that was like can do the shockwave and just descent was Death.
Yeah.
And then Famine was Storm, and then the one that was Famine was the one that could fire.
Okay.
Closest to the elements.
Okay.
That's my guess. But it was a good opening scene.
Yeah. It was. I remember watching that and I'm thinking, it's like watching Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Sort of that Hollywood vision of ancient Egypt. And again, adding to kind of the schlock silliness of it. And at first I was like, what? But then I just sat back and I thought, okay, this is fun. This is going to be fun. And then and then what followed that was like the most intense, or not intense, but most involved, I should say, graphically involved, opening title sequence.
Yeah.
With the X-Men, with the X2 music.
And they showing like time passing and everything.
But it was really unique because it was like this mechanized means of showing all this imagery depicting, because like you saw at one point the hammer and sickle from the Soviet Union, but that was like towards the end. You saw all this stuff, this passage of time stuff happening.
And what's interesting about that, because I rewatched the original trilogy, they all opened up with that, like, basically like kind of how the original Spider-Man trilogy opened up with like the network and all that craziness, and this is how it opened up. It was like an homage back to his first two movies, what Singer did, of how it opened up where you're just going through stuff.
Yeah, the original, like the first three X-Men movies opened up like that, and I remember Days of Future Past when I saw that movie, and it had
Did it do that?
Yeah, it did.
I didn't remember.
It had
it
had the X2 music, says da 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 da
So
da,
that's cool.
and I was like, yay!
And for this one, it worked out great again. But it was cool. Yeah, to show the passage of Hammer, Sickle, the Nazi war machine playing.
Same music too.
Yeah, and then what was interesting about it, what I liked is how, first of all, they kept everyone again, which is always cool to see, and then they brought new characters in, but they brought so many in. It didn't feel like overwhelming. Like, okay, why should we care? Why should we care? It's like they were able to bring so many people in because we know them already from the past trilogy. They're just younger versions.
Yeah,
so that's why I liked it.
That kind of helped. So yeah, we get to see younger Cyclops, younger Jean, younger Nightcrawler,
and younger Storm.
And a younger Storm, who's way better than the previous Storm, even though she didn't have nearly as much screen time as Halle Berry did in any of her movies, with the exception of Days of Future Past. But I already liked her a hell of a lot better. Her accent was better, and she kept it.
She didn't drop it mid-movie.
She didn't drop it, and I didn't give up on it.
Yeah.
I believed her as like, oh yeah, she's definitely of that region of Africa, from Africa.
And also, too, it did help what I like, because I was curious. I'm like, how is Storm, a good guy, going to be a horseman of one of the horsemen all of a sudden? And I like it just showed, because he just stumbles upon her, Apocalypse, and he sees her basically able to command a little small troop, a small squad. The way she is, so she's like, oh, she knows how to lead. Kind of thing. So he was drawing her from the get-go. And probably, I mean, going deeper into it, because he has such this old way mentality thinking, because he's from basically the past.
Yeah.
A female in control. Oh, okay. I mean, she's obviously a strong person. That's even more of a, to see a female in control. Yeah. But it was interesting. Yeah. And I like how they introduced Scott and Jean. They were already in class. Yeah, they already knew each other. So that was fun. I like that. And then it shows how his powers are starting to go more out of his control, where he needs the glasses.
I like Sophie Turner. I think she just needs to... Sophie Turner plays Jean Grey, or you can just call her Sansa Stark if you watch Game of Thrones. I just kind of wish her... I feel like she needs to work on her accent a bit. There are moments when I hear her talk, and she's trying to put on an American accent, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a British person trying to not sound British.
Okay.
So,
because is the actress? So she's British.
Oh,
right?
she's totally British.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you could tell by this movie that she's not accustomed to the American accent, but she hasn't fully mastered it like other British actors. Right now I'm watching the TV show House on Netflix, and Hugh Laurie, that guy's a total Brit. You would not know it from watching that show. He gets the American accent perfect. You can't tell. Sophie Turner as Jean, I could tell.
You did? Okay.
I could tell.
Okay. I didn't even recognize that. I think Cody Smith's German was fantastic. He was Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
That was fantastic as Kurt Wagner. Oh, God, he was hilarious. It was literally like, when we first saw him introduced, and he kept talking more, and more of the scenes, and it was obviously the plucky comic relief in the group. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how Alan Cummings would act if he was younger, as a younger Nightcrawler. This would be, because watching X2, it mirrored it perfectly. They were the same person, different actors, but the same person. And I'm like, I bet Alan Cummings was watching being like, yeah, that's how I would do it if I was that old. If I was like 17 years old.
Well, that's one of the things that they mirrored. Angel was just, dude with wings. He wasn't...
it wasn't like Ben Foster's.
He wasn't rich guy or
This one was more of like...
He was just some German dude that happened to have wings.
And he was just by himself. Like, he already accepted himself as a mutant. He didn't have any, problems
He didn't have an arc. He was just a thug.
Yeah, and it was interesting, since we're talking about Angel, how the Horsemen started, like how Apocalypse collected the Horsemen, and how at the end it didn't match. It was like, oh, I'm first attracted to Storm, and then I got Psylocke, and then Angel, and then Magneto last. But at the end, the only statues I make of is Angel and Magneto, and I just leave Psylocke and Storm outside somewhere. Did you notice that? At the end...
Could it just be that we didn't see those statues?
Well, they didn't show, but it's like, why didn't they show those other statues? They only showed 2 statues near Apocalypse's throne. It was just Magneto and Angel. I'm looking for the other ones, and I'm like, wow, that is... you were so attracted to Storm, and Storm's the one who brings Apocalypse into like the world in a sense of like she is his bridge between the world of like, oh, this is how it is now. I showed you stuff, blah blah. But then he just kind of throws her to the side.
I mean,
like honestly,
I have to see that again. I could see what the thinking could have been in that Angel and Psylocke were pretty much just thugs.
Well, yeah, they were the muscle.
They were like one-dimensional thugs. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
like
but
Olivia Munn.
Look who they were though: Death and Conquest.
Yeah, okay.
They're the ones who just wreak havoc and kill.
Yeah.
War is his like basically his like
general.
Yeah, his general.
Strategy.
And Famine is like almost the could be the rallying one because she's the one who helps him collect.
Okay.
So you get like a difference because
All
because I like how I know we're jumping all over here, but with War, I like how Magneto was War because how he first finds them, and then how he takes them back to Auschwitz and gives them enough power to destroy Auschwitz, which is first of all good in a sense of like, yeah, Auschwitz should be erased off the map. It's a horrible place. I mean, I know why they keep it now because it's more of like a historical remembrance.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, you destroyed Auschwitz. A Holocaust survivor got to rip Auschwitz out of the ground, which is that's cool to see on screen, right?
Yeah, some people have called that sort of like borderline tasteless. And
yeah, I heard that.
I can understand, but at the same time,
I understand that.
It kind of, if so, it kind of fits because he's joining the bad guys. And their whole thing is about we gotta rip everything apart, or not really erase the past, but just get rid of everything they built, clean slate,
and then rebuild in Apocalypse's new image of basically glass. It's all sand glass.
It's all glass and perfection, and
yeah,
and he's the leader of everything.
But I thought that was. I like how this movie basically really delved deeper into Magneto because, like from the first movie, the first X-Men movie, we're shown. He was in the Holocaust, and then in a First Class, Holocaust, and that's what fuels him, and that's what interesting. Even though Magneto is a bad guy,
yeah,
what he's fighting, what reason for fighting is it's hard to argue because he wants to destroy humans because he was there at the most evil and darkest point in our history as humans was the Holocaust under the power of the Nazis. And he just doesn't want that to happen again to people who are different. The Jews were thought as they were thought of as mutants, creeps, weird freaks, different, and that's what mutants are subjugated to. And he just doesn't want to see that to his own kind again because his own kind got that. He's part of two groups of people, Jews and mutants. The Jews he saw got eradicated. I mean, yes, they're survivors, but he saw the eradication of most of them. He just doesn't want to happen again to another different group, mutants. And I like how they really delve deeper into like, yeah. This guy's a Holocaust survivor. That's going to be with him for the rest of his life. And that's the only reason why he hates humans.
Yeah.
And I love how Apocalypse knew that. And that fueled that to have him rip apart Auschwitz and then again rip apart most of the world from the metal. And it's like, it's almost a hard thing to argue him with because when I rewatched First Class.
Okay.
On the beach when he's throwing all the missiles back at those men. Xavier's saying like, they're just innocent men, good men who are under orders, and he's like, I was under the power. Did
he say I was, or did he say like?
I've been under the power of men just following orders. Never again. It's like, yeah,
you
can't fight that because Xavier, you haven't really been to that. Overall, Xavier's never been. He's
optimistic. He's had such a optimistic and very privileged upbringing.
Yeah, and because he's never really had a bad experience being a mutant.
No.
Only Magneto has.
Yeah. And
that wasn't as a mutant, that was as a Jew. A mutant kind of got involved, as we saw, because of Kevin Bacon's character, but it was more of just being a Jew, and now that he's a part of also another subjugated group, because politics, a government, in this movie, our country's government wants to, like, register them or get rid of them or put them somewhere. All he sees is, the Nazi war machine again, basically. And that's what's interesting about it. I like how this movie really did it.
Yeah, Magneto definitely had the best character arc.
Oh my god, Michael Fassbender.
The entire movie.
Just, executed it perfectly.
You almost you expected it, though, because, he had such a great portrayal of Magneto in the previous two movies in the main series. One thing that was kind of a pet peeve, and at the same time, I had a realization that kind of made me laugh. Okay, so this movie takes place in 1983, which is 21 years after the events of First Class,
Right.
everyone looks like they've aged
A year or two?
up to 5 years.
I wouldn't say even 5. Cause...
Even though, well, the movie was...
Oh, actually, no.
First Class was made 5 years ago.
Oh,
so that's why I was saying 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, but even then, they've hardly aged a day, and this is supposed to take place over 20 years later.
Yeah. But
also, there wasn't a whole lot, not too much, in comparison to First Class and Days of Future Past to indicate that this was the 80s, with the exception of Quicksilver's Eurythmics scene.
Jubilee's outfit.
The rep for... Jubilee.
She's not even there, huh?
Stop making Jubilee happen. Honest Trailers got it right. Stop making her happen. And the Star Wars reference. But other than that, it's could have taken place at any time.
Well, I think what gave it away is all the females' hair. Like, when we first see Jean Grey, the way her hair was, that's 80s. That was totally 80s. That's really it. That was the first indicator. I'm like, oh, I know we're in the 80s. And then Return of the Jedi on the billboard.
Well, at least we know that the third movie is always the worst.
Yeah, they really attacked every trilogy. That was, like, not only their own, like, the new trilogy, but the last X-Men trilogy, and every other trilogy we know.
And I will say this is, in comparison to First Class and Days of Future Past, if we're going to say this is the second X-Men trilogy, this is the weakest entry of those three, let's be real here. It's not... We didn't hate it. It wasn't like walking out of... For me, it wasn't like walking out of Last Stand, where I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Really? This is how we end it? Well, what was the point of that? This is just like, okay, this is the schlocky superhero fun movie stuff. So there was that joke where they made fun of their own movie, and it also kind of works with this movie. If I was to rank it, I'd probably say, because there's like 9 movies at this point in the X-Men film series. You got your 6 main films, you got the 2 Wolverine films, and then you got Deadpool. I would rank this sort of.
I like how Deadpool's just an X-Men movie, basically.
Technically, it's an X-Men movie.
I love that.
Well, of course, I'd put Deadpool at the highest.
Well, duh, but
Deadpool at the top.
I don't think we can.
I would, and then X-Men Apocalypse, I'd probably rank it above, like, in 4th lowest. Not bottom 3, just above the bottom 3, because the bottom would be...
Bottom is Origins.
Bottom would be Origins.
And then the Wolverine. That wasn't... overall.
I would actually put Last Stand,
really?
Next to...
I like that movie.
Okay, you're definitely in the minority there.
I get what you mean by the ending, because Logan walking out on the porch and just smiling, I'm like, what? Like, that part was a little like, but okay, I mean,
yeah, it was
shouldn't it be more on Storm, because she's the one now in charge of the school, not Logan? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Logan's now just the second in command of the whole place.
We could switch it back and forth between Wolverine and Last Stand. Whatever it be, I'd rank sort of Apocalypse above that.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah. What's fun about this one is how they... Well, first of all, it's interesting. One note is that Xavier is one dirty SOB. God, he's a dirty man. He's a pervert. He is a perv.
They were talking about when Xavier reunites with Moira, played by Rose Byrne.
And when he's talking to Havoc, as before they walk into Cerebro, was it Havoc? Yeah, it was Havoc. He's asking, like, hey, try to look her up on Cerebro. He's like, no, yeah, a couple times. It's like, dude, you were watching her in the shower,
stalking her in Cerebro.
Yeah, and like he's just a dirty.
And it's made even weirder because in the end of First Class, if you remember, if you've seen the movie First Class, he mind wipes her.
Yeah.
Why does he mind wipe her?
Protect the facility, because she says, "Oh, they can torture me on the one, but I won't give the information." I'm like, "I know you won't," but he's like, "I can't trust that. I'm sorry." Because you do work for the government.
Yeah.
Even though she's one of the minority few who support, she still works for the government.
So yeah, so they reunite with her, And it's Rose Byrne, so
and she's the one
gorgeous.
who sees the awakening of Apocalypse.
She's the one that causes it.
Yeah, that too. She does
That's
on accident.
on accident, but she's the one that causes the awakening of Apocalypse because for some reason she's investigating for movie reason. She's investigating the cult of En Savanur, which is Apocalypse's actual name. Which I guess they're like they're worshiping him, trying to see if he'd come back. And they do it in like in this underground area, which is actually where his body is trapped for thousands of years. And she opens up the rug, goes down that basement corridor or whatever. Excuse me. I just burped. She doesn't close it. And therefore sunlight comes in, activates the chamber because it's activated by sunlight.
Because at the very top of the pyramid is basically a mechanism activated only by sunlight.
Like a solar panel.
Yeah. A
magic solar panel.
A golden magic solar panel.
Yeah. And she didn't close the rug, and that's how Apocalypse came back.
Which is interesting to show that that Apocalypse, even though he's revered as a god, he just knows he's as powerful as one, not a god. Like he still relies on logic and science, and basically he still relies on scientific stuff. He just knows he's as powerful as one. Because I think even though he is a human that's a mutant, because he's been around so long, I think he sees us as even humans and mutants are still inferior and still almost that simple basic logic, and he can be commanded easily. So he just takes on the role of a god to just be easier to manipulate. Yeah. Yeah, and what's another thing that's interesting is then that's also too in this movie we're reintroduced also to a younger Nightcrawler. Yeah. In Germany at basically an underground German death cage match with Angel.
Yeah, like dogfighting except with mutants.
Yeah, and show another thing how mutants are being treated. But it was an interesting arena because the fence is electrified so you can't escape. And what's cool is that during the fight with Angel, that's where Nightcrawler wins because he just pushes him against the thing and fries his wings, which was like, all right, that's smart. I mean, it sucks. Yeah. And then Raven...
Mystique played by Jennifer Lawrence.
She comes in and saves him because we see her thing, and she's almost like a mercenary for hire, but she just goes around saving mutants from their predicament.
Yeah, it's kind of like an underground railroad for mutants.
Yeah, and because of the second movie, she's seen globally as a mutant hero. Yeah. She's a hero to the mutants. So, since said Underground Railroad, like a Harriet Tubman for mutants.
What exactly did she do to...
She saved the president from... She saved the president from
Magneto. All right, yeah. Because I remember she was totally going to kill the president, and then... Okay, that makes sense.
Charles was talking to her and gave her a moment of clarity, I'd say. Yeah. And then Magneto, once again, is the bad guy, and it's an all-out manhunt for him.
That makes sense. It's a completion of her arc, yeah.
Yeah, and because she's now, for the whole X-Men group, she's their sergeant-at-arms now. Yeah. She trains them. She gives them the courage to fight and tells them just let loose your powers. Don't control them. Just let loose.
She was not in makeup long enough.
Well, they changed. Well, there's also the change. Because I saw an interview, she doesn't have to do the 8 hours of pain anymore. It's a bodysuit.
Just on her face.
Face and arms. Hands. Sorry, face and hands.
Face and hands.
Because the whole suit covers it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. She was not in her...
There are moments, there are times when I felt, okay, she does not have to be in normal form. She does not have to look like Jennifer Lawrence anymore. She can look like her true self. Why does she still look like Jennifer Lawrence? Oh, because she's played by Jennifer Lawrence. High-profile actress, they gotta make that money.
But here's the thing, though, because when we're first introduced to her in this new trilogy, in First Class, we see her as Mystique, in the blue, as a little kid. Yeah. And it's kind of like when we see her later on, she's like a human, and then she'll go back and forth. But the way when her and Charles are talking about her, about how she has to hide her powers, it's like, who did you copy? You must have stolen that look because it's because the way they talk is so that's not how you really look. Yeah. So I want to know, who is the person she mimicked? Is that how? Because we don't know how she looks because as a child we see her as this little blue thing. Mm-hmm. So who does Raven look like? Because I don't think that's how Raven looks like. I think that makes sense. I think for this trilogy and this, she took it from someone. Because if you think about it, we know how Raven looks because at the end of X-Men Last Stand when her powers are taken away. It's a short-haired, black-haired woman.
Yeah.
So
Rebecca Romaine.
the timeline wasn't changed to change how she looks. Because she was already born before the timeline got changed by Wolverine in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So when did she go? Did she dye her hair black or blonde? And then the highlights? Like, I know it's a small thing, but they're so connected in the timeline. The timeline got changed at one point in time. Because, okay, it's not like Star Trek, where the timeline got changed to change how... Because this was changed
to
before.
Create an alternate
because they were just...
parallel
because they were
the
just
existing one.
born or weren't born when the timeline got changed in Star Trek. But this one, everyone was already born when X-Men timeline got changed.
Well, here's an answer to that. Time travel isn't real, so fuck it, go with it.
Oh, God damn it! I hate you.
That's the thing. You have to take all these any movie with time travel and you have to try to wrap your head around the movie or story's version of time travel logic. You just have to go with it.
That's why I say X-Men does not have good continuity.
Yeah.
X-Men does not have good continuity. I mean, they're fun movies, but that's why the continuity, because it's like
continuity is fucked.
Because you were talking about like, why is she?
Days of Future Past is supposed to fix that, and they still fuck it up because somehow. Because let's talk about when they go to Weapon X, which honestly does not need to be there. I'm sorry, it did not. It was a cool scene, but it does not need to be there. A few of the mutants. Don't know why they didn't kidnap all the mutants. They just kidnapped a few of the mutants.
The key, yeah, they left the kids there like. Alone.
I guess that would be too much like X2 if they did that, but they kidnapped some of the mutants.
Because it was the same base they were back at.
Yeah, same base and everything. And they take them back to the Weapon X facility, and then they release a few of them hitch a ride.
It was Jean, Scott, and Nightcrawler.
Yeah, and they infiltrate them within, but in order to not get captured by soldiers, they find a cage that Wolverine's in, and Wolverine lets loose. Which is pretty great.
Oh, it was awesome.
I wish it was R-rated, but there was a lot more blood than usual.
Oh, he just destroyed those guys.
Just fucking messed those people up. It was great. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense with the ending of Days of Future Past, because in the ending of Days of Future Past, it's like, oh, they find Wolverine's body in the water. This is back in the 70s. And Stryker is under Mystique's control.
No, it's Mystique.
Well, it's Mystique. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. It's Mystique.
So how does she get him in there? That's what I want to know.
Why did she get him in there? I thought the whole point of that scene was, oh, it's Mystique, so therefore he's gonna get away.
No. Yeah, no.
What happened?
How did the real Stryker get him if the fake Stryker was there to get him?
Was it like within those 10 years she let him get away, and then the real Stryker came back from nowhere and was like, I gotta get you back.
That was like she didn't. Yeah, that's why I was like the continuity.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, that's why I'm like I can believe her being like, oh, she's like the Underground Railroad for Mutants leader, but then like, okay, what'd you do with Wolverine? Why'd you let the real Stryker get a hold of him? I mean, that's cool that they brought Stryker back. It's like, Stryker again. That's awesome.
I feel like if this was if Marvel was making this, they'd be able to make a comic explaining that.
You shouldn't need that. You should the movie itself. Like that's
you shouldn't, but you know they would. Though.
I know. Like that's sort of just a problem with a lot of things right now, where it's like we shouldn't have to go out and read something that first we didn't even know was out to help explain it. The movie itself should explain it, or we've already read the book and years have passed, like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, that we know what's going on in the movie. Not like, oh, this movie's out. Wait, what's going on? Oh, there's also a book that came out. Go read that and then watch this. Why would I have to do that again?
I shouldn't have to. No, you shouldn't have to read the book to understand what you're watching.
No, I mean, like, you shouldn't have to read a book to help understand something that came out right now that's new, because the book is brand new too, like that.
I mean, if you want to have, like, a book that takes place in the same universe, in the same, like, just in a different medium, that's fine. But it can't interfere.
No.
It can't be required.
No. Because, like, that's one of the continuity issues. Like, what?
See, Marvel knows that, and Marvel would not make a mistake like that. Where it's like,
and then here's one thing I want to know, because I don't know if we'll ever see it, but I want to know when Beast goes political.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my dad. I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, "Well, I remember in X-Men: Last Stand, I think they're talking about how he left for politics." I'm like, "I watched it. He didn't say anything. All he said to Logan was like, "Hey, I was protecting mutants under the law while you were a pup." That doesn't explain when you left Xavier.
No, it doesn't.
Because basically, Beast, even though he's the muscle, he's their Q. He's their quartermaster.
Yes.
When does the quartermaster go political? I get Raven.
I get really smart.
You don't have to be smart in politics. You have to be just common sense. Common sense is what you need in politics.
He's educated, I should say.
He's a nerd, not educated. He's a nerd.
You know something I forgot to mention here? The whole thing about the characters not aging that much despite the time difference. I forgot to mention, it's like reading real comic books.
Oh.
If you ever think about it, like...
it took
it took Spider-Man 13 real-world years to graduate from college, and what, maybe 4 years passed in the comics? Maybe not even that, because, you know, if we're comparing to the rest of the Marvel Universe, it's like, oh, when did that thing happen? That happened, like, 3 decades ago in comic book time, even though this is the same continuity. A couple years ago.
So then, maybe...
I don't know if that was I'm sure that was not their intention. I'm sure they
didn't think of this?
They didn't think of that, but it was like, okay, the fact that they're not aging despite the fact that it's 20 years later, it's just like reading a real comic book.
So maybe
there's no one ages.
Maybe that's why we saw it as so much fun, because when it comes down to the very pinnacle bottom point, it's just a comic book movie. And none of these directors are trying to make it real. Like Avengers, I can believe this is happening because they're making it feel so real.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, that was the closest thing to a real, like, reality.
It was very realist. Yes.
Yeah, so
it was a very realist
that's why with
story.
this one, they're just kind of like, we're just going to just bring it to life.
Yeah, fuck it.
Maybe that's why we felt it so much fun. I thought, I was really watching a comic
book. It's like the movie that just said, fuck it, let's just do it. Oops,
they brought a lot of, maybe that's it.
Visual effects in this movie were iffy.
Just that one part. That couple parts.
I could have sworn there was a few other moments where I thought, that kind of looks like green screen.
You could say the building itself that Apocalypse resurrected.
Nothing... some of the effects looked really great, but then there were others where I felt, okay, that kind of looks like green screen.
The warplane looked amazing.
The what?
The warplane. That looked like a bird, like a phoenix, that they stole from the Weapon X facility.
Oh, okay.
That looked bomb. That looked like they came out of the Black Ops 3 video game.
Yes, I was thinking of Black Ops.
And I was thinking, like, this is the 80s. That thing looks like it's 2100.
I know. I'm thinking, they made that in the 80s?
And then when you said how it landed like a bird, and he said Phoenix, I'm like, oh, it does kind of look like Phoenix. And what did we see? The Rise of Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And that's what's interesting about this movie.
Is that what it was called, the Phoenix?
No, you called it that, though. You said, like, yeah, it's like the Phoenix, like Jean. And I'm like, hey, it is. And then what we see, because it's interesting, it took 3 movies for the Phoenix to arise. It took just 1 movie for the Phoenix to pop out. I guess it was to really show how much this new timeline got changed.
It's like they fast forwarded.
Yeah, and
you know what? Let's get to it.
That felt earned. It didn't feel rushed. Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I can see that. Xavier helped her just go crazy, unleash hell.
Yeah, and she's totally okay. She's not going weird.
She's not dark. She's not Dark Phoenix. She's just Phoenix.
Not yet.
Yeah, true.
They're totally. I bet you they're totally going to try to do
Dark Phoenix.
Again.
But she's just Phoenix.
Just way better than the neutered version Brett Ratner gave us in Last Stand.
I do like how this one explains how he became bald. It's just because of how the transformation. Because the thing in this movie, Apocalypse, basically is able to be immortal in a technicality way where he just transfers his consciousness from body to body, and that's how he collects the power. Because the new body he transfers to, he collects that power. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to transfer into Xavier, and through that transformation, because Apocalypse is bald, Xavier became bald. So I'm like, all right, I believe that. And that's how he becomes bald forever.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I feel like it's the silliest explanation anyone has ever given as to why Xavier's bald. Instead of, he just doesn't have hair. But, okay.
He's bald.
It's fine.
I liked how, in this movie, it basically kind of gave Xavier, like, a little bit of a bad lighting. in a sense, because in the first one, when he's explaining to Logan what his powers are, is to control and manipulate others. And he even says, as a little kid, I could make anyone do whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, Apocalypse recognizes his power because they're able to contact through Cerebro. And he basically says, like, I want you, what? Because you can control people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's such a slap to the face.
Yeah.
Because basically, Magneto has been saying that for so many movies, and now we're basically the bad guy's saying, like, because all you do is manipulate people. You control. That's all you do. And he's like, oh shit, that is all I do.
That's all
it's like, ha! Someone got it! In your face! Like, that's awesome. It just gave him a bad lighting.
That sort of kind of leads into this next point, which is at the end, when Magneto just kind of leaves. They're like...
Oh, yeah.
Or they rebuild the school. And,
he helps.
Magneto helps rebuild the school. And I watched something somewhere that says someone joked, he should probably also rebuild Auschwitz, too. The historical memory thing.
Wow.
Rebuild Auschwitz as a historical memorial monument. But anyway, okay, in the end, he leaves. He's like, yeah, I can't stay. It's not my thing. It's your thing. They're like, all right. See ya, Eric. You could compel me to stay. He's like, I know. I'm not gonna, but I know I can. And just lets him leave. And someone said, I read something somewhere. It says, yeah, he's gonna found the Brotherhood of Mutants. That's what he's totally gonna do. And I thought, no.
But no.
That's bullshit.
Because here's the thing, though. In the first trilogy...
That makes Xavier look stupid.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Because in the original timeline, he founded the Brotherhood of Mutants because it was to attack, destroy, and kill.
It was a terrorist organization.
Yeah, but because of what happened in Apocalypse with the new timeline, that I Hate Humans was brought down to such a docile degree where he's just like, look, I don't believe in what you're doing, Charles, but I won't get in your way. Best of luck of you. I hope it works. But for me, I'm just going to stay away from humans and do my thing.
Okay, you think he's just going to...
This event just brought that hatred to such a docile level where it's just like, look, I'm not going to bother you. I don't agree with it. I think mutants should just be on their own. Mm-hmm. Screw humans, but I'm not going to go out kill anyone. I'm just going to go out and do my life.
See, I would like that. I want that to sort of be what that ending implicates, because other people are saying...
That's what I feel it does.
Because I feel like if Charles just let him go, some people are like, oh yeah, because Charles believes in not telling people what to do, despite his powers, because that's the moral thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, but if you're just going to let someone go, and you know that he's going to do terrorist acts and kill people, then that just makes you fucking irresponsible.
Yeah.
So I really hope your theory's correct. I hope that
because when they're talking about what Charles is doing, he's calmer about it. He's really calm. You can tell, and he just asks him one question. And it's funny. This is the same question that Ian McKellen asks Patrick Stewart in X2 about. What do you think about when you wake up and the thought of them attacking? He's like, I just have pity for that fool. It's the same line. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It comes full circle.
Yeah.
But it's a calmer way. It's not like we need to attack and kill and be defensive on the offensive and defense. It's more of like, you know what? These kids are protected here. See you later, friend.
They're fine.
Yeah. He's not going to go find anything. He's probably going to restart a life again because he's lost a family, his parents through the Holocaust. He lost a wife and kid because of mutant persecution. That was a hard scene to watch.
That was sad.
You know what's interesting about these new X-Men movies? The kills and the hits are harder to watch.
They're more brutal this time.
There's some more. I don't know, like
Wolverine just got to let loose and there was blood everywhere.
Quicksilver's leg when it gets broken was.
They made better use of Quicksilver.
The way Angel loses one of his wings and gets his wings turned into basically tungsten metal was like, oh.
It looked like that was like really hard on him.
Dude, it's just a lot of all these movies. This one and the last one are really hard hits and kills. Mm-hmm. Especially the death scenes. And then they're just sad to watch. Like when his wife and child got killed. Oh. That was hard. Oh, and the whole audience, we're all like,
Oh.
this got really sad.
I mean, I knew that was gonna happen because I'm thinking,
But not both
something-
of them. I thought it was just the daughter.
yeah, maybe just the daughter.
They-
Maybe not even the daughter. Like maybe the wife or something. No, it was both of them in one
One
hit,
arrow.
one twofer shot.
And they're just stuck there together too. Because the way they slumped and they're stuck together with the arrow, they're just, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. And his revenge is great. He just takes the necklace, the metal necklace of the pictures of his parents.
it just goes through all their necks. That was,
I was like, ew.
Like I said, this for a PG-13 movie, these are some brutal kills and brutal fights. The funny part is when he first meets Apocalypse, and he's like, "The fuck are you?" I thought that was
He
hilarious.
literally says, "Who the fuck are you?"
I thought that was hilarious. And
We all
the way
laughed.
Michael Fassbender says it is perfect. Like, it literally just pulls you out of the whole series in the movie. He's like, what the...
It was such a total clash, but like in a good way, where he's given this monologue. Because the reason his family was killed, his new family,
Someone
by
at
those
the
police-
refinery.
someone at where he worked in Mother Russia ratted him out. So, like, because he used his powers to save one of the workers from getting killed by an accident.
Mhm.
But then someone ratted him out saying, "Oh, you're that mutant terrorist that attacked the president 10 years ago." And he arrives there the next day and goes in this monologue saying, "Yeah, now your families are going to know what it's like to lose someone you love. This is the day you die. I'm going to promise you that." And then fucking Apocalypse teleports behind him. And he just turns around. It's this really solemn, intense moment. Then he just turns around and says, "Who the fuck are you?" Who is this guy? Who's this blue guy with all these three wonderfully dressed people?
Yeah.
Especially Psylocke, which they kept her costume from the
Yeah, I like how
comics.
she's the only one without armor. It's just, she's the only one in leather. Everyone else had some form of armor plating.
Apocalypse is looking at her like, "Nah, you're fine.
And I like how...
I like looking at you."
I like how also too it shows how Magneto really isn't afraid of anyone. He's like, I'll kill you, dude. Don't mess with me right now. Because even
Not in the
even
mood.
Psylocke, Angel, and Storm were like, what the fuck? Like, screw you, man. Screw you. Like, what the hell? Like, you're not afraid?
Psylocke, I was kind of expecting Psylocke to not have a whole bunch of lines just because I thought, oh, there's too many characters in this movie.
She was.
At the same time, though, it's Olivia Munn, and I kind of like Olivia Munn as an actress. You know, especially, I don't know if you've ever watched The Newsroom.
Yeah, I've watched some of it. Yeah,
Okay.
she's great in that.
She's really great in that. How many lines does she have in this?
5 or 6, 7.
I feel like she
It's
had
under 10.
less
It's
than
under
that.
Well, I think they
She had
did.
almost no lines. She was just like, again, she was just a thug to do things.
I think they did that though on purpose because at the end of the post-credits scene of this movie, they introduce Essex, Mr. Sinister.
Mhm.
Apparently, her and
They definitely set her up as like someone you see
her and
later.
Mr. Sinister are connected in a way.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna see her in the next Wolverine movie. That's why. That's my guess.
Yeah, because they set her up. They show her like, what? Oh, I'm just gonna sneak out.
In
And
an
it shows her
angry
sneaking
way.
out of the damage
Yeah.
with an angry face, like, oh, I guess we'll see her again in the next movie. Just like the way General Stryker had his getaway.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, he's still alive. We could see him again. Olivia,
Yeah, because when he was running away, I'm like, oh, he's gonna get like something like he had a basically
yeah, you thought he was gonna
a
get a-
contingency plan.
You thought he was gonna get a weapon.
Yeah, because it's like the way he looked. He's like, I'll be back, and he's like, all right, and then he just goes into a safe bunker within the bunker,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, like that. Okay, so we might see him again.
Yeah, and he takes up in the helicopter. Yeah. Olivia. Back to Psylocke. Olivia Munn recently said she was apparently approached for the role of Morena Baccarin had in Deadpool, the love interest.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, "Nah, I don't want to be a damsel in distress." And you could argue, of course, some people have made fun of her saying that because it's like, oh yeah, all you got was no lines at all. But I don't know. Maybe she maybe she didn't care. Maybe she's just like, yeah, but I get to I get to hold the sword, and I get to have a sword come out of my hand in post.
Yeah, this is the first time.
And I can just kick ass and not really think too much on things.
This is the first time we see Psylocke on screen.
Yeah. So I was like, all right.
I liked her as Psylocke. I did wish she had more lines because I felt like she was just there.
Yes.
Because like when we first see her in that underground mutant railroad, it's like, why do Mystique and Psylocke hate each other all of a sudden? Like it's just there. It's not.
Oh.
There's no like.
Because they're the only two women in the room.
If that's it, it's like really. It's like because there's no point. Like she's just like, I hate you too. But why? Like she's just there, and she only joins Apocalypse because she knows she can go. She has a chance to fuck up Mystique. So it's like, but why? With Storm, it made sense because Storm is like mutant protection. You know, we protect mutants. With Magneto, it makes sense because he gets to kill every human being. But with Angel, it's just like I just fucking hate people right now. But with her,
just mad.
And he just gives him he gives him his wings back. So basically, almost in a sense, Angel's indebted to him because he gave him his wings.
Mm-hmm.
But with Psylocke, it's just I gotta go kick Raven's ass. But you never fight Raven. You never fight Mystique.
Yeah.
So why? Continuity. I like continuity. Even though this one movie was fun, it's still the continuity.
It's apparent that they don't give a shit, okay? It's apparent that the filmmakers,
I just want to have fun.
Simon Kinberg, whatever, they don't give a fuck. We're just gonna make a fun Hollywood movie it's not Michael Bay levels of dumb, but it's schlocky enough with a decent enough story to, make the movie entertaining.
It was basically it was a lot of fan service, this movie.
Yeah,
because at the end they give Psylocke his glasses, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not Psylocke, sorry, Cyclops' glasses." At the end.
Oh yeah, his visor.
His visor's like, it's the visor. Everyone's in the suit. They have a new warbird. They bring the Sentinels back in for the war practice machine, the war room games.
Yeah. The Danger Room.
The Danger Room.
That's what it's called.
They bring the Sentinels, though, because in the third one, they use Sentinels as training programs in the Danger Room.
But these are like the actual Sentinels?
Yeah, they look like the actual... Well, they look like basically beefier versions from the last movie, not like the ones that we really know from, like, comic books and video games. Like, they just brought the same beefier versions. And that's how they end it, which was like, that's cool. I mean, does that mean Sentinels might be coming back? I don't think so. I don't know.
We already did that once.
Because it's interesting because, like, because this is just me going back into the timeline.
Stop that.
I know.
It doesn't want you to think that hard.
It's hard for not to do that. But anyway, basically, this movie was fun. It is worth the full admission ticket to wherever you go. Either it's $4 or $15. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, if you don't want to think too hard about the movie you're watching, but you also don't want to feel like you're stupid, or you're just very sympathetic to the X-Men film series, like you completely disagree with people who say, "Oh, they should just give the rights back to Marvel." Yeah, go see this movie.
Yeah, and also
it's not doing as well at the box office as the...
It's a fun summer movie. It's not a blockbuster movie. It's a fun summer movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely like if you got into the mode after like Civil War, see this.
Okay.
If you got in the mood, because it basically is. It's a superhero team. It's a superheroes on superhero movie.
Yeah. Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Well, it's not like Civil War, but it's in a sense of superheroes on superheroes.
It's not as good as Civil War. Civil War was the better movie, but
if you think about it, this whole year so far of superhero movies has been them on each other.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Batman, Superman, Civil
next?
War, well, Suicide Squad, but actually no, Suicide Squad.
Villains on villains.
No, because I heard that the reason why kind of shit hit the fan of where they're going, it has to do with Enchantress. So she's actually the main antagonist, as I've been hearing. And so there's the
Joker's just a red herring.
Yeah, but then again though, this whole year of superhero movies has been them on each other. Even though yes, Suicide Squad is villain, they're still super something.
They're villains on villains.
So it's basically a group on each other.
And Doctor Strange is probably going to break that.
We don't know. But basically that's what it is. So if you got in that mode from Batman vs Superman Civil War, see this because it's this whole year is just basically the superpowers.
Not from Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman's dark, depressing, and bullshitty.
But it is the superpowers against the superpowers.
Yeah.
So that's what this whole year is. So basically this is keeping with the theme of the year: superpowers and superpowers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Which is because in this one, even though Apocalypse is evil and Angel is evil, Storm and Magneto are the ones that go like good, evil, good, bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And become good later on. So
I feel like Storm's like turned to good. I get that. Okay, it's because she saw Mystique in the chokehold.
Yeah.
That now Rose McGowan is complaining about in the posters. I don't know if you heard about that controversy. Oh, so you know the posters that show, which I find a little spoilery, but whatever. The posters show Magneto holding Mystique in a chokehold.
Yeah, because it's in the trailer, yeah.
Apparently the actress Rose McGowan complained, saying, oh, another example of Hollywood using violence against women as a marketing tool. And I feel like...
No.
No.
Because, well, first of all...
I feel like that's really taking that screenshot out of context. Like, I think even people who are seeing the movie are probably thinking, oh no, it's not like he's beating her up because he's a woman.
Yeah,
it's just the first hero. And plus it's Mystique, who's been a really important character in the past couple movies.
And he knows that, too. Apocalypse knows how important of a figure she is in the world.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, like, out of context, you see that, it's like, I don't see violence against women, I just see, oh, he's a really bad guy.
Yeah.
And Mystique's like one of the main characters, so this guy's about to kill Mystique, oh no, this guy's really, really bad.
And it just shows, like, oh no, the X-Men are in trouble this time.
Yeah.
That's all it does. No. And also, too, when you watch it in context, that's the only time he puts his hands on her.
Yeah.
He never hits anyone. The only thing he does is break someone's leg.
Yeah, he breaks.
That's all he does. So yeah, that's dumb. No,
it's
dumb.
I feel it is pretty dumb. It's kind of like
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, unless she was like,
I mean, we're two light-skinned guys, so I don't know. What do we know? But
no, I think that's not. Yeah, and also too, it's like if you don't want that, then don't make any female have any sort of power, so she will never be in danger. Because she'll never be in the fight then. She'll never
powerless females, yes!
They would never be in the fight then, right? Because Psylocke got roughed up by Beast.
Only men can be hurt in violent movies.
That's dumb. No.
In movies with fighting.
That scene actually still made me go like, oh crap, it got crazy quick because he just chokehold her and she's picking her up and it's like...
It was pretty intense. It was like, oh my god.
It reminded me of the Mummy.
Suffocate that.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Mummy. When like Brendan Fraser's getting choked, and he's like, oh, and he's turning blue. It's like, oh my gosh, she might die.
Well, you can't tell if she's turning blue because
her eyes were popping out more.
Oh yeah.
But I know you're right because she's blue. But it made more like, hey, I mean, it'd be cool to see a good guy die once. Like let's have
Havoc died. Even though
he died by his own cause.
I did not like the way he died.
He died because of himself, basically.
I didn't like that they didn't show a body or they're like, oh, I found his body. Yeah, he's totally dead.
Well,
because I feel like that would...
Okay, well, in actuality, though, he would have been disintegrated in that last phase. It's just, he died by his own...
In blockbuster logic, that means, oh, he could come back for some bullshit reason.
No, I think that there was a point to only keep one Summers. Because when I read more about Sinister, he's very, very fixated on the Summers bloodline. And so now that Alex Summers, Havoc, is dead, all he has to think about is Scott. Just one person. Because at the comic books, he was dealing with two Summers.
Yeah.
But now if you take out one, he's going to just be fixated on Scott. So for the next movie, when we're to believe that Sinister is being brought in, he's just going to be very fixated and honed in on Scott.
Yeah, the Sinister... The setup for Mr. Sinister in the post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting because reading it, by this time, he's already in his Sinister outfit in the time-wise. Chronologically, like in around the 60s, the 80s, he's already in this, like, how we see him in that white skin.
Yeah,
but
Daughton's head.
But I think, obviously, they're not going to take to that because Sinister's lived for so long. Like, he knew Charles Darwin.
Yeah, that's right. He's been around since the 19th century.
1800s, yeah.
Yeah.
So, 19th century, then. No.
That's what I said. 19th century, 1800s.
Yeah, so I thought you said 17th. So I think they're gonna actually just keep the name, but he could the next movie could show his transformation. Because if anything, he could have been one of those guys in the black suit. Because it's still because they're not gonna keep to the original what the characters are. Like this is a character by name, and he might turn into what we know of what Sinister looks like in the next movie, but he'll still be that human person before the change. Because Apocalypse is gone. Apocalypse can't change him now. It's all different.
Yeah, it's all different.
So that's what I'm saying. But he could have been one. He could have been that lead guy in the black suit. I could believe it.
Could be.
We won't know until the movie.
I feel like they made a more big deal. Plus, that black guy, not black guy in the black suit. I don't know. He looked a little old. You got to cast 20, 30 somethings.
Really? I thought he would be in his 40s, Mister. From what I've seen in the pictures.
Yeah, but these are movies.
Oh, okay.
Why do you think they're not using the old actors anymore? Except Hugh Jackman, because Hugh Jackman's too iconic.
Oh, and he's in great shape.
They're too old. Gotta make him young again.
I think it's because Hugh Jackman, though, he looks younger than what he is.
Yeah.
Still, and he can make himself look that way, like DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
that's kind of it.
It was a fun movie. It's a fun movie to go see, however you see it on whatever any format you choose.
Yeah.
Go see it with friends though. This one you should go see with a group of people.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's funny. It's really funny. Like honestly, Nightcrawler was a great plucky comic relief.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to do the sense of humor thing that Marvel's been doing, and it worked.
I like malls. I'm also blue.
I'm also blue.
Oh my god, that was great. All right, well, that wraps up for this episode. Everyone, you enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or morning. Yeah. And we'll see you on the next time. Once again, I'm Tom Flores.
I'm Travis Baker.
Catch you on the next time. Bye.
Bye.